If everybody would stand, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Reverend Darnell.
Let's pray together. Father, we thank you for this gathering here tonight. As we start a new year, we are grateful for you bringing us through many difficult times, I'm sure individually and collectively. We think of those who have gone ahead, who have passed on. We think of them and we pray for them, that we pray for their families, that all needs would be met and that they will get through this grieving time. And we thank you for the men and women who are a part of the work here in the village office and department, and we ask, Lord, that you would continue to bless them, give them wisdom as they deal with situations even tonight. We give you praise and we give you thanks for all that you do for us each day. And we ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. This chilly evening, finally winter has arrived. Okay, first thing we'll go to is number one, the abstracts. We've all had a chance to take a look at them. If there's no questions, I would take a motion.
I'll move with the accept the abstracts as printed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Matt? Where's Matt? There he is. Yeah, you have to go up here and sit.
Right off the bat.
Right off the bat, we figure break in really good.
Get it over and done.
Did everyone get the monthly report?
Yep,
Good. I did something right.
good job.
Any questions?
Anyone have any questions? Any comments?
No news is good news.
No news is good.
That's a good thing.
The heating system for the theater,
Mhm.
how is the bid process going on that?
Well, basically, we received three bids. One company, didn't want anything to do with it. It was kind of too big of a job for them. Basically, the best bid we had was from, A&C here. And it's kinda hard to compare apples to apples with the other guys, cause these guys were so in-depth and the scope of work. So it's kinda difficult to compare the bids, but
What I was thinking about on this, if I may interject, there's 5 or 6 different bids here. I called up and spoke to our lawyer, and he said that because we're bidding for the service, not for a particular item, that we don't need 4 bids or 3 bids. We got the two that we have is good. We have 2 refusals, which is good. I looked at all of them, I'm sure you all have. My suggestion right now, the first thing that we should do is in the office replace the radiant heat man, because that's an immediate thing that affects the girls that are working every day, because it's pretty cold, and that's like $4,000. The rest of this, I think that we should call the guy back down with Matt and Roger and Pink here to look at and see which one of these options are the best. We only have limited amount of money that we can spend. Jody said we got about less than 20 grand inside that we can work with, so one thing is like 8,000 for a big fan that would blow down all the heat, but if the heat's not being generated by the furnace, then why waste the money in putting a fan? So I don't want to put the cart before the horse. So I figured let him come down, let us look at everything, and then make the right decision on what we should do. So I think you probably agree with that. So that would be my first suggestion that we would do.
And it can be done in steps, you know, not like it has to be done all at once.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I would make a suggestion that we okay the $4,000 for the 4425 bid for the office. I think I got that.
It's not in that
Oh,
one.
4425, yeah, it's not in there, yeah. It's 4425. For to replace the baseboard heating in the office.
Charlie.
So I would make that motion. If someone will second it, then we can,
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And the rest, I think, like I said, we'll do this, let the guy come down, we'll see what's the best step to go, the first appropriate step first, and then we can always call another meeting and decide on that. By the way, Matt, if I may interject, I know you were thrown into this when Roger got hurt. I gotta say that, me personally, I think you've done a great job. You've really stepped up, you've done an excellent job, you've got everything. Get up in the morning, just like Roger's still here, you know, everything is paved, I mean, everything is plowed and everything is good, so I think, that a boy is okay with
Thank you.
You're doing a good job.
Thanks.
Anyone else have anything else you wanna speak to Matt about?
This afternoon, I got a call from RSS, and they're concerned about the heat. I guess they've been having heat problems again next door.
Okay.
So you might have to stop over and see if
In the
there's-
lobby area.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that the one we're waiting for a part?
Didn't, what's his name? Who's the plumber we had coming down?
Troy Beach?
Not
Luke.
Troy.
Luke Onion.
Luke, didn't Luke
Onion.
come down? and-
Yeah, he's been swapping parts out, trying to diagnose it within the other heaters, and he hasn't had any luck. So, and I haven't heard from him in a couple days. I mean, you can go over, which we've been doing the day before show, get it going. You can mess with it enough to get it going for the night, but
I thought Luke said it was, he thought it was a certain piece that,
at first he replaced the gas valve, that wasn't it. He did different vacuum tests, wasn't it. All sorts of things, and it's not fixed yet. Then he thought it was the main computer board, and that wasn't it either. Because he's been swapping parts with the other ones because they're the same heater.
well, I mean, you would think the process of elimination is gonna
Yeah.
come across something.
So I don't know if it's a greater problem with that heater. I mean, there's some rust on it, and I don't know.
Can you call him again to see if he'll come
Yeah.
down and take a look at it tomorrow
Yeah.
morning?
You know, he's been in and out, actually. I mean, the girl that runs it has his number, and he's been in on weekends just getting it running. So he's been at it, but
Okay. Okay.
I don't know.
And we'll call this guy to come down from the
Yeah.
company and see which is the best thing that we do first, especially with that one.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, I think that's the biggest problem with
okay,
right now.
excellent. Anything else? Thank you, Matt.
All right.
It wasn't so bad, right?
Thank you.
Bill Brown?
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I don't have anything to ask for tonight. I'll give you a quick
Yay.
update. Not spending any money. The digester project, we completed the environmental review last month. We're working through feasibility and in discussion with different funding agencies and looking through funding options to go towards that project. So that's still in the planning phases and slowly moving ahead. But nothing formal to take action on this evening.
Yeah, we're going to Binghamton
Binghamton.
on Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Thursday at 3 o'clock to meet with someone from NYSERDA, right? I think Bonnie,
Yeah, Bonnie. Yeah, they're with
put
Empire
the
State
paperwork together,
Development.
Empire,
Yeah.
to get the paperwork together for that, so that's a good process, so.
Yep. Yeah, there's a report that got, put together to go to the funding agencies to tell them this is what we're looking to build, this is how much it's gonna cost, that type of thing. So then there's obviously processes to submit that and whatnot, so.
Okay,
So we're here.
Shoot safe.
thank you, Bill.
Tonight.
John Moffett? No.
No? Well, we're also not looking for money, so,
Well, good.
now everything at the plant is operating within limits. Leachate received was up about 100,000 gallons, and flow from Sunrise Family Farm was up 20,000, from 71 to 91,000.
That's good.
So really, the only thing we need to discuss right now is the sludge bid. If you want to discuss that, Jody, it's up to you. How you wanna do it?
I sent the bid results, to everybody for the sludge hauling.
Right.
The lowest bid was Casella for $11.25 per ton. So, and you've checked them out and you're comfortable?
Yep. Yeah, Andy's comfortable with them. They came down, checked the site out. They see no reason. They haul from Kraft right now and SUNY Delhi, so they're in the area. They're familiar with the landfill.
You have no concerns?
No, they're supposed to send us a copy of their permit, but they say they have them. They obviously do if they're hauling.
Technicality,
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
Make a motion, we go with Casella as the lowest bidder?
I'll
Second?
second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And then the last thing is just the MBT project. It's up and running. It's actually working better than we anticipated right off the bat, so. The only thing we're still working out a couple of small equipment issues, pumps, feed-forward pumps. But we believe that's related to sludge age. Once it starts to break down, that'll work itself
What-
out, but.
We say age, or days, weeks, what's it, when you say age?
Sludge age is how long a particular particle stays within the process.
Right.
And we're also going for thickness, bless you. So we're looking at 30,000 for a mixed liquor in the tank, so you're gonna be upwards about 100 days.
Oh,
And that's just a
okay,
recycle.
yeah, I had no idea what the
Yep.
timeframe,
Yeah,
okay.
it says how much that passes through the system. So all in all, things are looking really good. If we have to change these pumps out, it's not a problem. We've been in touch with the manufacturer, but again, we're pretty hopeful that things are still gonna work for us. So other than that, like I said, things are working well. Some foaming issues, which we expected, but other than that, that's pretty much it.
That's great. I mean, we put this together with the screw press and then with the digester,
Right.
we should be in really pretty good shape.
Yeah, and the screw press too, it's right, BDP, we're still waiting for their response. You accepted their bid, now we're just waiting for them, but over the holidays, the gentleman was off, so he should be back in today, so we
Okay.
should hear something this week.
Okay. Anything else, John? No?
Okay.
Thank you, John. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
Steve?
Good evening.
Evening.
Everybody has my monthly. Any questions on that? I also handed out, here at the last minute, I gave you a summary sheet for the year. It just gives you the totals for the various categories on my summary, my normal monthly summary sheet.
Do you know offhand, Steve, if like building permits in for the year was 80, is that high, up, low, high?
Low average.
Okay.
On a good year, we're pushing probably 120. On a-
That's a busy year.
Yeah, a busier year. On a bad year, we're probably 60, so,
This is specific to the village.
yeah, yeah.
Now, you're gonna be meeting tomorrow, I believe, with Middletown to,
Yep, I'm going to Middletown in the morning. I'm gonna go meet with the code officer there and discuss community rating system. They recently enrolled and got accepted in the community rating system. I think they came in at a 7. And in preparation for that, he basically has 2 binders with all of the documentation that he used to get enrolled. He's duplicated that binder. I'm gonna go there and meet with him, go through the binder, and then I will bring the binders back here so that I have reference material, so that I can start putting our documentation together. Probably wishful thinking. I think I explained this last month. Enrollment is either March or October, and that's because of the timeframes in which the insurance companies are notified. like I said, it's probably wishful thinking, but that gives me basically 3 months to try to get the information together and get us enrolled by March. It's gonna be pushing it. There's a lot of documentation that needs to be created and found and put
But you
together.
can't make March,
If we can't make March, then it'll be October.
but you go, are you redoing everything?
No,
Or you
no.
just- oh, okay.
No, no. This documentation, it's, best way I can describe it, that I can relate it to, because I've been through an accreditation process, in my former employment, it's an accreditation process, is what it amounts to. You say you're doing X, then you have to have documentation that shows that you're doing X.
Okay.
You know, something as simple as, I've used the example of, I put 7 required books in the library.
Oh, you
Okay.
brought this source, you brought,
Yep,
okay.
yep, there's 7 FEMA documents that have to be in the library and available. I put them in there, I have to show documentation, I have to get a printout from the library that shows that they in fact have that in their card catalog, and then I have to maintain that in our documentation, so. There's a lot of information that has to be put together. Like I said, I think it's wishful thinking to make it to March, but I'll see what I can do.
For sure.
For the folks that may not be familiar with CRS or folks watching on video, what this will impact the folks in the village is it'll reduce the flood insurance rates for the folks. So, and there's different levels. The more we do to mitigate the threat, the lower the rates will come. So that's why it's so important to the folks involved.
And I also, hot off the press, got my annual state report in there. The state report goes by calendar year, and it's not a whole lot different than what I show you on those. They want to know, you know, how many permits were issued for alterations, how many commercial permits, residential permits, all of that kind of stuff. So that's done and that's pretty much all I got. Anything else?
Well, Steve said, I don't know if it's Steve or the public works, when there's a sidewalk that isn't getting shoveled at all, and we do it, who calls out the crew to do this? How does that get, what's the process for that? Just,
Well, in
I don't
terms
know
of.
about problem, just for my own information.
Right.
because-
Now, in terms of sidewalks, basically, here's the process. It snows, let's say it stops snowing tonight. Based on my schedule and, you know, when I can next get out, usually, I shouldn't even say usually, all the time, it's at least 24 hours after it stops snowing. I will go out and check sidewalks, see what's been shoveled, what hasn't, cite them, contact a handful of contractors, get bids on them, they get back to me quickly.
Our crew isn't doing that, we're doing.
Our crew is not doing that, no.
Okay.
No, and that's basically the process.
Okay.
So, and we haven't had a lot of snow, so, this year, so. Because that really, I mean, having to go out, I think it's important from a safety standpoint that sidewalks are shoveled, but that's one of my shifts. You know, we have to deal with sidewalks, so.
And you are given 24 hours.
Oh, no, there's at least 24
least
hours,
24
yeah,
hours.
and that's just, if nothing else, a function of my scheduling,
Right, I understand that.
you know.
I tell that to people, it's good to let them hear it too here.
Right,
as well.
right, yeah, you know, the letter of the law is by 9 AM
I
daily,
know,
but,
but it's not.
yeah, reality being what it is, yeah, it's, they've got 24 hours usually, yeah.
Okay. Excellent.
All right,
Any other questions?
Thanks.
Thank you, Steve.
all right.
Chief?
Just going way too fast to see if I can step down a little bit later. I think everybody has the reports, the monthly report. Attached with that is also the year-end totals. Obviously, we'll do a full-scale annual report, but it gives you an idea where it's at.
You don't, I mean, with you coming in partway through, you don't have a sense for where, are we trending more crime, less crime, more of a certain type of arrest, or?
My take on it, it seems to be pretty standard, pretty the same. I don't think we're really up or down too much. Types of crimes have changed a little bit. I think that's just a product of world we live in.
Not a surprise.
You know, there's more drugs. The domestics are always a big call here, they always have been. That continues to be the big call. I don't think there's any major trends, you know, that I see. And obviously, also, the activity is a product of how many people you have working as well, so that kind of comes and goes.
I mean, officers.
Correct,
Yeah.
right. Any questions on the numbers or reports or anything? I know there's a lot of numbers for you, but I can tell you the general calls were up a little bit, and again, nothing earth-shattering, that's just a matter of how many calls we get. The call types really haven't changed that much, not really trending in one direction or another.
We haven't heard of scheduling issues because of, for a while, for some months there, we were having trouble with coverage scheduling. Is that smoothed out, or?
Well, and I'll introduce the couple guys we have here. I can tell you by the end of this month, we'll have nearly 0 issues with the schedule. I mean, we've made huge improvements with the schedule, we really have. We've had, been fortunate enough where the part-timers have, a lot of them have stepped up. Some of the guys that weren't necessarily working before are now working. Some of them work consistently 1 day a week, which makes it real nice for scheduling.
Predictably
Actually,
for you.
exactly. Actually, most of the part-timers doing that now. They'll take a shift every week.
With a hope when we.
Right. And then if something happens, we have guys that we can fill in here and there. So if we can, and actually I was gonna bring a name up to you tonight too for another part-timer, and we can talk about that. But I think, you know, I've kind of tried to scale down the part-time roster a little bit, as long as we can cover it. Just kind of the guys that aren't working as much because they have other stuff going on. I mean, that comes and goes, that changes. So I really want to have a consistent roster that's available and that can work. That's my goal.
It's a functional.
Right.
It's a real.
Right, and I think we're going in that direction. So to tie right into that, I think you got a copy of the application that I tried to get it to you as soon as possible. I'd like to see about hiring Nicholas Baxter is his name. He's worked in Hancock for several months. He attended Yatsego Academy. He graduates actually Saturday. He's all done with his training, so he's able to work on his own.
Wow.
Young guy, which is good in my opinion for this department right now. I kind of like getting the young, energetic guys in. So the good thing about him, you know, as much as I say I'm trying to scale back a little bit, the good thing about him is his availability. He lives in the town of Walton, and the only other place he works right now is part-time in Hancock. So I know the boss down there pretty good, so we can make it work.
In fact, you're looking at a on-the-job interview situation.
Yeah.
They passed, I mean, he's coming off an on-the-job interview situation.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with him. He's, you know, he's, again, energetic, asks a lot of questions, very conscientious, you know, tries to do a good job. And I think with the fit, the direction we're going in, I think would be a good guy to have on the roster.
Lawson Hancock, a credible, decent guy.
Yeah,
Yep.
yep, we've had no problems.
Is that what you heard?
Oh, the boss in Hancock.
The boss in
I
Hancock.
thought you were talking about him, the boss, of course. Of course, the boss in Hancock knows what he's doing.
Then we need a motion for,
It looks like, again, you're continuing to keep the high standard of officers in Walton. Walton's always had good quality.
We're trying to get, you know, and it's also, not to beat a dead horse, but it's also about a fit. You know, you have to have certain personalities to work together, and I think, knowing him as well as I do, I think he's a good fit for what we need here.
Motion.
you make a motion?
I'll second motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carry.
Great, thank you for that. And also along those lines, we have the 2 new guys here, just so you can put a face to the name, so when you get your ticket, you can look up and see them. Devin Dunphy's on the right there, and Holden Gray. They, as you know, we spoke about last time, they did graduate, and they're in field training right now. They'll be finishing that up in the next couple weeks. And they'll be able to work by themselves. I mean, to be honest with you, we're not gonna just throw them out there by themselves, even though they're legally able to do that. We're gonna try, and I think that's where, again, Baxter will kind of help. We can kind of team new guys up if we have to a little bit.
And their status with the village is part-time, full-time?
Devin Dunphy on the right is full-time. He was appointed a full-time position, and Holden Gray is part-time at this point, and, you know, potentially down the road, if we can get some more full-time positions filled, he'd be a good fit for that.
Awesome.
We're looking to do probably beginning of June for our next year's payroll, that we'll be able to do the 5th. And that's that would put us at where we were before. We had 5 full-timers. Finally.
Yeah, and you really need,
It's
I
a
mean,
long process,
yeah,
but
and not only sit in the position I sit in, but as a taxpayer, I mean, you really do. This department is crazy busy, you know, and it may not be, not always the numbers show big arrests or, you know, but it's just, quality of life calls here are just,
Yeah.
it's busy.
Well,
It's
just,
a very
I mean,
busy
it's been
place.
proven over and over again, just the presence, whether it's they're walking and checking doors or just patrolling in the car, just the presence itself is a proven deterrent. Well, like I'm telling you.
No, absolutely, I agree with you 100%. We talk about that all the time, just being down there on Delaware Street and making the red lights go around, you know, people see that, and that makes a big difference. Along those lines too, on the, just kind of, I guess for the public as much as anything, on the 21st of this month, we're gonna try and reestablish all the emergency contacts with the businesses. So we're gonna actually send these 2 gentlemen, the 2 new officers with the police clerk, and we're gonna actually go door to door in all the businesses and make contact with them and also get emergency contact information, because we are in the process of trying to update our emergency contact book. We want that to be accurate, and I think it's a good chance for them to see the business owners to see them, and as well as the clerk, because sometimes the clerk will make calls for us and they don't necessarily know who he is, so I think that'll be a good introduction.
Yes, I'm on that Pride Committee, or like the liaison, and Maureen Locke is there, the Chamber of Commerce are there, and she talks a lot about the members of the Chamber of Commerce that aren't necessarily on Delaware Street, but a lot like little mom and pa. Or
Sure.
Are there businesses outside Delaware Street that are significant enough to be part of the contact list?
Absolutely. When I say walk down Delaware Street, that's just a figurative speech, you know.
Well, I
it's
don't
just-
mean there's a problem with it, it just occurred to me.
No, I think all the
Yeah.
businesses,
All
you
the
know,
businesses.
all of them, yeah. I just say down Delaware Street, but all the businesses, yeah. I mean, we want to make emergency contact information with all the businesses. So certainly, West Street is, you know, has grown as we know, so, yeah, all up and down, so. So just if you hear about the police assault on the 21st, we're just out doing warm and fuzzies. It's not an actual assault.
Doing their job.
Yep, so we'll do that on the 21st of this month. Also, with the guys here, I wanted to see if we could get, nobody else really asked for anything tonight, so I thought maybe I would be the one asking for everything. Priority, as we talked about in the committee meeting briefly, we need to get bulletproof vests for the new guys, two new guys. We do have vests, old vests. The companies with the vests say they expire after 5 years, 10 years maximum, just because they lose their,
Really?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a material that deteriorates, basically.
Is it like Kevlar?
Kevlar,
And it
correct.
deteriorates.
It does deteriorate. If you think about that vest up against your body day in and day out, sweat, change in temperature, it just breaks it down.
I know canoes, they get real, the Kevlar in the canoe gets, if it's not painted, it gets real dark. I mean, that's part of the deterioration process.
Right. Right, I think it's just a matter of break down the material, and that's obviously not something you want.
when I was in the city, we used to, every 2 to 3 years, we would replace them,
Really?
yeah.
Now, along those lines, the vest range, last I checked, they were $939 a piece. There are grants out there, the federal grant that reimburse, I think it's 60%, somewhere around in there, 75% maybe. And also, there's a state program that'll make up some of the difference between the federal and what you have to pay. The only problem with that, as we talked about, is they don't give you the money to buy the vest. You buy the vest and they reimburse it. So I would ask if we somehow could get approved to get these 2 gentlemen the equipment that they need to, in this day and age, obviously, that kind of
Why not?
stuff.
I mean,
Yeah, no, we have no problem. We spoke to Jody about the money and
you
everything.
need a motion?
Yeah.
Make a motion that we approve the money to get the bus for the guys.
And I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Great.
Chief, is there, have you looked into a periodic replacement of vests for those that we already have, so that, so we're looking ahead, next year we'll buy 2 more in, so it's.
Yeah, we
it's
can do
now-
that. I mean, I think right now we're in pretty good shape because previously you have done that. I don't know if you were on the board at the time, but they have kind of done that.
And we've had
Part-time-
this conversation about this.
Yeah, and part-timers bring their own, usually from other departments or wherever they're working, so that would bring us up to speed pretty good for now, and obviously we'll continue to look at that, and I've already started inventory of what everybody has, and we'll keep track of the dates and try and get those
Well, if a guy
replaced.
brings in his own vest, does he remain responsible to replace it, or does?
Well, again, it's a department, but part-timers generally, you know, like we have a couple of sheriff's departments, part-timers, so
Oh,
they'll get their
okay,
vests
so they're-
through other departments. I mean, we really need to worry about full-time that are committed to here and part-timers that aren't necessarily working someplace else. such as,
I mean, you give a guy an expired vest to wear when you're talking to him, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you do what you can, but that's not ideal.
No.
It's not ideal. Just to update you on the body cameras, I know I spoke about that, we're still pursuing that. I actually have one that we got on loan right now, we're gonna play with a little bit and see the quality of that and how that works. So continuing that, I don't think we're ready to make a plunge on that this month, but I'll keep you posted on that, where we're gonna go with that. I wanna make sure that the research is done properly with that.
What type camera is that?
The one we have, I should have brought it up, I didn't do that. It's just a little box about that big and it just clips on your shirt.
Yeah.
Yep.
Teresa's
real-
in here, she's sick, but we were talking just informally, waiting for things to start and leaning more toward like a better quality, so we're not, sorry, you know, false economy or
Exactly,
something, you know?
exactly.
For, give you something to.
Right, and I'm trying to research that. I mean, because it's so new, there's a lot out there. The International Association of Chiefs of Police has new policies and new reviews and stuff, and so it's taken me, you know, I want to do it the right way, so I'm trying not to rush into it as much as we want to just purchase them. It's not a huge investment, it's not going to be a ton of money, but we also don't want to be replacing those every, you know,
Right the first
we want to do it right the
time.
first time. And also, there's some policy issues involved with that too, so I want to make sure that that's good. That brings me on to the next big item that we should talk about is the replacement of the car, a car. We have a car with a lot of miles, and it's something that we need to look at. I think I gave you copies of all that I found for the state bid. That's actually, I kind of piggyback with the sheriff's department on that. It's a Ford, and I talked to Butch, and he's a Ford guy, so he's all about it. Not so much, but
You're on camera, be careful.
it does seem like a good fit. I mean, a lot of departments are going in that direction with that. It's an all-wheel drive. It's not an SUV, but it is an all-wheel drive car. The state bid price is quite a bit less. You can see it there on the front sheet. We would need to outfit them, so, you know, you're talking another probably $4,000 to $5,000 just to get the lights, the marking, the cage, and also some options that'll come from the factory as far as making it available, wiring and that kind of stuff ready to go. So, we talked about moving forward with that. I think we do need to do that sooner than later, just because of the fact that, you know, one of the cars is gonna start nickel diming us to death, I think, and obviously it's a safety concern from my standpoint as well.
What's our oldest car, what's the, you know, the year and the mileage? The ballpark even?
Butch can help you with that?
one's
a 2008 is the oldest one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and this is hard miles.
Yeah,
A lot of-
yeah, and he's the man that's gotta, I mean, he knows more of the problems probably than I do. I mean,
You look at it as job security.
yeah. You know, and again, I know it's a big item, but it's like we've talked about every month since I've been here, it's just a commitment of having to do things to keep the police department up and running. You know, that's just,
What's the lead time on getting it?
they're talking about 14 weeks from order to delivery, in that ballpark. I mean, they can't tell me definite, but
Sure,
that's about what they're looking
ballpark,
at.
that's kinda
Yeah.
And we
Right.
cut the check upon delivery?
Yeah.
When we pick it up.
We pick it up. We were talking to Jody earlier, if we can hold off until the end of this January, it would put us very close to May, right around the time where our other budget, in case there's any other issues, we would be okay.
You're able to wait a handful of weeks to order?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I mean, I really wouldn't want to get a brand-new car in kind of the bummer weather anyway, you know, so I mean, if we can get it sometime spring and get it marked up and get it equipped and, you know,
Just sort of
So if we
time
do,
it
if
so
we
it
do the
comes
okay on
in.
it now, then we'll order by the end of the month, we'll order it and we'll have it in by May, and then we'll be, so I need
I'll
A
move
motion
that
for
we
that.
go ahead and authorize the purchase of this vehicle.
a second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carried.
thank you, I mean,
This
thank
is
you very
your
much.
Christmas
That's-
present.
I know, it's, unfortunately, I don't get to drive the thing, I'm gonna have to start getting back in the uniform, I maybe and drive around.
Would they give you a ride or anything?
Maybe, they take me down for a cup of coffee once in a while, they'll let me get out. But again, I mean, I appreciate it, I know the guys appreciate it, it's all part of the moving forward, just things we need to do, you know?
Yeah, we want to back guys as much as possible, we know they do a dangerous job. And unfortunately, sometimes it's money too, I mean, it's
Yeah,
terrible, I mean.
yeah.
But these are important things. The vests are important, the camera is very important, I think. The car is also very important.
We have 2 cars?
We have 2, and then we have an unmarked one that the village crew uses, and then we, you know, if we have to run something to Albany, something like that, we'll use it. The guys used it for the academy.
Is there anything special about, this is totally just curiosity, but like when you have the unmarked car that another department uses, is there some state regulation that a car has to meet certain standards or be listed a certain way to be used as a police car? Or can you take that car and make use of it for something official when the time calls for that kind of a vehicle?
No, I mean, you could do that. I mean, the only thing is how they're built, you know, I mean, you're comparing, I mean, I would hate to just take a car off a lot somewhere and make it a
Yeah.
police car, because it's not really equipped for that. But yeah, there's no law or standards to that effect, but, I mean, a lot of used police cars are sold and people use them, but I don't know if I'd want to go the other way, just buy any used car and make it a police car, so, yeah. That's it, I think with the, you know, just overall, I think with the, you know, younger guys coming, nothing against, I'm an old guy myself, so nothing against the old guys.
I'm
but-
thinking,
If you're an old guy, I don't want to go any further than that.
Yeah, I know, but I just,
You left your cane home.
yeah, I
today.
know. I just, you know, activity-wise, I think we'll be in good shape and we'll get the type of response that we want with cases. And, you know, this is allowing investigations to be done a little more thorough. And I know it's a lot right now, but I think in the long run, you'll reap the
It's a
benefits for
trivial little
sure.
thing, but when, I don't know if it was the last car or the one before, when it came in, it had orange on it, and I heard from more people, I'm not even sure I was on the board at the time, about how glad they were, proud that the police department's car had the school's colors on it. And I don't know if that's an official paint scheme or just a decision that time, but it went over really well from the people I heard of, that it's just that orange was a tie-in with the high school and the kids and stuff. It was
Yeah,
a
they-
nice touch, whether it was intentional or not.
Well, all the departments kind of went through a phase where they were doing that, and actually, some of the schools, some of the PDs were actually putting a school logo on the cars at that
Really?
point. So it was kind of a phase everybody's going through. That's certainly a decision we can look at when it comes down the road and see where we go.
I-
from there.
We got
that's not-
time to
it just-
talk
It
about
went
that.
over real
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
just from informal conversations with people and stuff.
Did I ask for enough, or can I ask for more?
Go ahead.
No, you got enough.
Your
You got
officers are
enough.
enjoying watching you square up there.
You're done.
I'm
No,
done.
I-
He says I'm done.
No, I
And when
think
Jody
it's-
says you're done.
Yeah, you're done.
I'm glad we have some new guys, and I'm glad you're gonna send them out to speak to all the businesses, because it's important that the business get to know who these guys are. They knew
Absolutely.
all the old timers, they've been around a long time, so, and it's good for these guys to get out and shake hands with everybody and say, hey, we're here.
Walk the beat.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's a good
Welcome.
thing. We used to do that in the city too, I know we had this conversation, we used to be called Stop, Walk, and Park. You park the car, you stop and talk to people, and it went over really well, so.
Yeah, especially community like this, small community, you gotta know the people that are.
And welcome, young men.
Thank you.
Glad to have you with us. Thank you,
All
Chief.
set? All right,
Yep.
thank you.
Okay, item 3, public input. If anyone care to take 5 minutes and talk and say what's on your mind, please raise your hand, just give your name and, yes.
Sandy Gregory, 82 Stockton Avenue. I'd like to talk about the situation in front of Townsend School. Right here on North Street, there are speed limit signs for 15 miles per hour. And I think there's some confusion amongst residents on whether that's 100% of the time 15 miles per hour, or if that's only when school's in session. And so I think what it should be is only when school's in session, because if it's all the time, then you just encourage people to break that law, because it doesn't really make sense to slow down to 15 when there aren't any children out and about. And that kind of ties in, I think, to the parking situation in front of Townsend School, because maybe people get used to breaking the law on the 15 miles per hour speed limit, and then they also think they can break the law on parking in front of the school on that side of the street. And so I think it would help if we maybe made that just a 15 mile per hour speed limit during times that school's in session, and then enforce the no parking, because that becomes a very dangerous situation when you have cars parked, or even sitting on both sides of the street.
I don't know what the village law specifically is for that speed zone as far as hours and days, but I've seen any number of places, other villages around here and up in the Finger Lakes where the either, you know, the speed limit, whatever it is for the school zone, is when the lights are flashing, or it'll say like 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. on school days. You know, there's a sign there that has that effect. And I don't know what our current law reads
I
specifically.
think it's when it's flashing, right, chief?
Yeah.
The light is
Yeah,
flashing?
they are just for school period, because it's a school zone, which means when school's in session, that's when it's active. So it's, otherwise it would be a 30.
Maybe it's a matter of a sign that specifies
Yeah, and I
that.
don't know off the top of my head exactly what it says there right now.
I don't think it's any, I don't think
It
there's
doesn't
any,
say
anything.
other than the speed limit, but I don't think there's anything about days or hours.
No,
Does it
but
say
it does
school
say,
zone?
I believe it does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah,
light
I mean,
does,
we could maybe clarify if that's something.
I've seen it in Whitney Point, when flashing, 15 miles per hour school zone.
Yeah, or you could actually put the times too. Just like
Days
you
and
do for like the
times,
regular
yeah,
reds
good.
on the, Delaware Street, so that's something that could be done.
But then you have holidays and,
yeah.
But that's the way, on days, you know, whatever the hours are on days when school's in session or on, you know, there's all different ways, you depend on how much of a sign.
I'm
you
trying to think what
wanna
that
put up
sign, does it say anything? You know, I see,
Yeah,
no,
I
I don't think it says anything, right? It just the yellow light blinks, yeah. All right,
That's something we can, I could research for you.
yeah, please, we do that, yeah. And Chief, you had looked about the parking over there, remember when you first came here? That's been an issue since, I know.
Get back on that.
It's been, no, it's been an issue, I know.
Well,
How do you
know,
define thankless?
you know, I mean, it has gotten better. I know that's probably not what you want to hear because it's not perfect. It has gotten better because of some of the school policies where they're just dropping the kids off, they can't go in there anymore. We haven't had a really heavy hand with enforcing it. I mean, we can do that. It's not always the easiest thing to do. We can do that if that's the direction we want to go in. I mean, I've tried to get the word out that, you know, you can't do that, and obviously somebody in front of the hydrant, something like that, something blatant, we try and be more apt to enforce. I know it's a problem. I mean, I don't know what I can say other than acknowledge we know it's a problem, and, you know, we could probably walk up and down there. And the thing about parking tickets, by the time you get done writing the parking ticket, they're back in the car and they're out of there, you know, so.
Well, and
more of
once
an
they realize
education.
you're not writing them anymore, people are gonna come, I mean, it's tough, because people gotta park somewhere, and you don't want, I mean, it's, I don't know.
Well, you know, some of them I've noted, and I'm sure you guys have noticed too, then they'll come out an hour before school's out and park their car there and sit there. You know, I mean, I don't know why,
But sitting in the car is not parking, is the other thing.
it's standing,
It's
yeah, I know, technically it's standing.
But the problem is, and I've said this before, other years, that it amazes, and maybe it's a problem that doesn't exist and seems to, but I can't believe we haven't had something real tragic happen there, because you look, you got an elementary school almost up against the street, cars parked sometimes both sides up and down, little kids running all over the place, and it's amazing to me that we haven't had something real tragic happen.
We came real close 20 years ago, and I'm sure, Vinny, I think I have in the past. One of my friends, a classmate from high school, was driving up years ago, and a youngster ran out between two cars that were parked, standing, and he hit him. Now, the principal and one of the teachers were out there. They saw that there's nothing he could do. The young man was okay, but to this day, 20, 30 years later, he's still haunted. He still stops and he says, Charlie, when are they gonna do something about it? So he was lucky, the boy was lucky.
Along those lines, I mean, that's part of the issue too, is you have no parking on the side of the street where the school is. So now you're putting everybody on the other side. I mean, you hate to enforce when there's a mom sitting in her van out there picking up their kid, they come right out of school and get right in the van. I mean, you hate to,
Maybe it's one, I mean, seriously, I'm not kidding at all, but one of those where it's so obviously a dangerous situation that everybody ends up being more cautious than they would ordinarily be? Maybe not.
yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
it's hard to put.
I think one of the bigger issues is on the pickup. It seems to be a lot worse on the pickup, when the kids are picked up in the afternoon. Maybe if you can give special attention with the squad car coming by Platt Street, and it might move them along a little bit, or make them think twice about.
Well, I think they purposely did the not, and I don't know this, but, you know, the no stand, you can stand there, so you can pull up and pick your kids up. You know, that isn't minded as much as somebody who's parked there in the car is
Right.
parked there. So it's hard, you know, you look down the street and you think there's cars all parked down through there. Well, if there's people sitting behind the wheel, that's
It's
not
standing,
parked, that's
yeah.
standing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's something we can continue to evaluate. I mean, I guess it's more of an educational thing as much as anything. I mean, we certainly can send officers down there to write parking tickets. You know, I mean, that's anybody can do that.
But you're right, I think, I mean, we live over there. It's, I think when people drop their kids off in the morning, they drop their kid off and they're gone. But in the afternoon, if there's any number of cars there, 40, even up to an hour, cars, you know, they read the paper and talk on their phone and stuff while they're sitting there, waiting for, they must have had an empty afternoon or something, because they'll sit in the afternoon, it's.
I'm thinking there's maybe a little attention in the afternoon,
Okay.
that's all. I think that's when the biggest congestion is. Maybe that would help a little bit, and just pass by with the car sometimes, that's all you need to do, and people kind of move on a little bit.
Or just a, you know, a tap on the window and a reminder or something, rather than ticketing a bunch of people that maybe, I don't know, I just.
Okay, we'll take a look at it and try
Okay.
and concentrate on that a little bit.
Okay.
I also would like to read a letter as the treasurer of the First Baptist Church, if that's okay.
Sure.
And I believe the board members have a copy of the
Yeah.
letter as well. Dear Village of Walton Board, the First Baptist Church of Walton now has a new building. We thank Steve Dutcher and the rest of the Village of Walton staff for their support during this process. Last year, we legally consolidated 4 separate properties into a single church property. Those 4 properties were 55 Townsend, 59 Townsend, 61 Townsend, and 30 Flat Street. We respectfully request these 4 properties also be combined for the Village of Walton water and sewer billing purposes. Thank you very much for your prompt attention to this matter. January 11th, 2015, exactly 4 years after the fire, will be the date of our first worship service in the new building. We would like to invite all in Walton to attend worship services with us at our new building starting at 10:45 on Sundays. Come and see what God has provided as we rise from the ashes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just need a motion to be able to combine
Is
those
that simple?
properties. Yep.
Oh, make a motion that we combine those 4 properties.
Second.
into a- yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. I'll shut up now.
Okay, no?
Really?
Anyone else can? She said here, not in.
I'll pay for that.
Yes,
Well, you should.
I do, if no one else has.
yes, good.
Where are we at on our petitions? I brought 2 petitions last month. I just wondering where our progress, where we're at.
Charlie, you want to address
Yeah,
that?
I'll take the action on that. I have 2 amendments, some proposal to go before the board. Again, for those that may not recall, last month at the board meeting, it was suggested, it was brought to our attention that we have a fee for residential roofs, commercial roofs. The way we wrote it, we really didn't think about the overall impact. Currently, for roofs, it's $5 per square foot. Our intent in doing that was so that people with big roofs would pay more, people with smaller roofs would pay less. What we really didn't stop and thank Mr. Vitti, I thank him for pointing out that some properties are very large and that would have been excessive. So, and we already have precedents in our current fee schedule where we've identified maximum fees for residential construction and new commercial construction. Therefore, after talking to Steve and looking at it, what I will propose is I'll make this as a motion that we amend the current fee schedule to assign a maximum fee of $200 for residential roofs, a maximum fee of $400 for commercial roofs, and although not addressed at the last meeting, I think it's, the precedence again is the same, a maximum fee of $200 for renovations and alterations. The renovations and alterations currently is $35 for the first 500 square foot and 5 cents per additional square foot after that. So what this will do is this will put a cap on those fees. So I'll make that as a motion for the board.
Can we do, what, regard, you know, forgetting pros and cons for a minute, if we so affect an existing law, do we need to have a public hearing, or can we modify a village law?
No, the code says that the board can set these fees, so we don't need a local
Because it's
law.
a fee setting, it's
Correct.
not a, a law per se.
Right.
Okay. Keith, your thoughts?
Doesn't answer my petition.
Yeah,
Period. You can call it construction, it isn't construction, it's maintenance. And if you took a real good survey of the majority of property owners in the village, or business owners, I think they would all echo my petition.
Actually, let me clarify that, and this is from the state code, and forgive me for reading it, but then we get it on record. Roofing permits, and recently, there have been a lot.
What is this from, Charlie?
This is from, the state puts out a guide, periodic, for code enforcement officers, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and this is from an article that came out a while back from that. Recently, there have been a lot of questions regarding the requirements to obtain a building permit for roof replacement. If we look at the code, Appendix J of the residential code, re-roofing is classified as a level 1 alteration. Likewise, Chapter 3 of the existing building code states that level 1 alterations include the removal and replacing or the covering of existing materials, elements, equipment, and fixtures, and new material elements, equipment, and fixture that serve the same purpose. That definition would apply to new roof coverings whether or not the old roof is removed. So there's the, again, state guidance as to why it's not, as you say, maintenance. Again, it's straight from the state code. And it goes on to discuss that even farther. So, that is, and as we mentioned, or as I have mentioned previously, there are communities throughout the county that do charge, just as we are. Some add the fees for fire inspections to their taxes. Others hire private companies to come in and do fire inspections, and they charge the individual business person that's having the work done. We decided to not do that, that we would charge those who are using the benefit, those that have inspection. What we're talking about is, for most properties, commercial properties, it's a fire inspection every 3 years for $40 every 3 years. So we looked at that, and at this time, our recommendation is that we modify the code, the fee schedule, to put a cap on top of those, as I mentioned before in my motion, but at this time that we do not, no longer consider changing the policy fire inspections.
And how does the rest of you feel about that?
I'm gonna concur with Charlie.
I like the reduction in the fees. I'm still, and it goes back, I'm still struggling with charging, and it's just me personally. And I know other villages do it, and we've done our research and our due diligence, and we're in line with most of the other communities, I think maybe all the other communities we heard of. I'm just struggling with the, you know, Steve gets his salary, whatever it is, from the village, the town, and then he does his job, and we charge somebody a fee on top of what we're already paying. And then, and I know the other side of it is, all the taxpayers end up paying for a service to a specific business. And I mean, I'm struggling with that back and forth, and I'm not falling on one side of the fence or the other. I'm not into, I'm just struggling with which makes the most sense to me, and I'm not getting anywhere with it.
Comment I've got on it, my insurance company, and most businesses, your insurance company does an annual safety inspection. So if I'm, as a business, if I'm paying for that through my insurance company, I don't feel I should be also double dipped in paying it to the village. If every 3 years you need a copy of my insurance inspection, I don't have a problem
With your, well, let me ask you, because I don't know.
Okay.
If the inspection that you're talking about that the insurance company does, that you have to pay for every, how many years, is that the same kind of inspection that he would do? Are we talking apples and apples, or are we talking two different types of things? You know what I mean?
Well,
I
that's
mean,
a good
Fire
point.
inspections or
if your inspections are
They come in-
your
they come in and-
inspections,
They come in and do fire extinguishers, exit signs, outlets, any safety rails, any other safety equipment, eye wash, to keep your eyes washed. They check your safety, your medicine cabinets and whatever. It's all done.
Is there something in your policy that says that? I mean, do you pay, I
We do
mean,
that every year. I get that done every year. Workman's comp comes in and does an inspection
See,
every year.
the problem with that is that if we were to accept that, then we'd have to accept the insurance inspection from every company that comes, every business that comes forward and says, well, I have it with Acme Insurance Company, so now we have to accept theirs, whatever their standards are, or Ajax Insurance Company for another
There's nothing in
company.
New York State code that allows the acceptance of an insurance company's inspection.
See, I don't have a problem with the inspection.
yeah,
I
with the fee?
did. I said that in the last meeting.
Right.
I don't have a problem with the inspection. I have a problem with the fee. The fee is regulated by you, just like a roofing fee is regulated by you. I don't care what the state says. If they designate putting a roof, repairing or re-roofing your home so it doesn't leak, and that permit is required, I don't have a problem with that. I agree with it, as a matter of fact. I do have a problem with the fee. That's my only problem.
So you'd prefer shifting the burden from the users to the whole
Well, if you're gonna
population?
use that as an example, okay, Walton Swimming Pool, I've paid taxes, and I pay a lot of taxes, to support the Walton Swimming Pool. I've never used it in the 40-some years I've lived in Walton, okay? The people that do use it don't even have to live in the village, don't even have to live in New York State. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry can walk through the gate and utilize the pool. They're using it, but they're not paying for it. But I am.
Don't
I
we get
can
money
use
from
it,
the
sure I
town
can,
for
but-
the,
We do.
to the pool?
Yeah,
Yeah, we get
but-
money from the town for use of the
Yeah,
pool.
but I understand where he's coming from.
But it's, when I was 16 years old in Stamford, New York, I paid 50 cents a day to go in and use the Stamford swimming pool, okay? I didn't live in the village, I lived in the town.
That's
But
been talked about a number of times.
I just, you know, it's a great thing, I'm glad we have it. But to use that as a scenario, and if we didn't have a code officer, or if it was an additional thing, I would feel probably differently about it.
Steve,
But still, I just,
Keith puts a new roof on his building, and whether he takes the old one off or just re-shingle it, whatever. What does that involve on your part when Keith applies for the permit and ink is dry? What does that generate from you to the, up until the day the new roof is done and?
Depends on how much work is being done, but generally speaking, before I issue the permit, pay a visit to the property so that I know exactly what we're dealing with, what we're starting with. As the job gets started, if it's a strip and replace, I'm ensuring that they are in fact stripping the materials off. I'm making sure that they're installing ice and water shield like they're supposed to, installing flashing the way they're supposed to. Again, it depends on the size of the job. In the case of if somebody says, well, I'm just gonna shingle over what's there, I have to make sure that there isn't more than one layer of shingles on there, or 2 layers of shingles on there already, because that's the maximum number of shingles that you can have. So it depends on the job. Basically, you're looking at 3 visits a roof, minimum.
also, Steve, aren't you required to make sure that whoever the contractor is has workman's comp?
I'm also required to do that as well.
Yeah, so there's not a lot involved, and I'm not talking about construction, I'm not talking about if you're gonna add on to the roof, you're gonna put a
Right.
window in it, you're gonna put
No, that's not
whatever.
it. It's a simple re-roof.
I'm just saying, the roof on my house, I had to put another layer of shingles on 4 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever. It just got to a point, they were 30-some years old, so it was time, you know, before I started having some real serious problems, I had it done. involved, come and make sure I don't have more than 2 layers of shingles, understand that, and that my contractor had insurance to cover it. So, I mean, if I'm gonna do some major construction, a whole different ballgame, I mean, Steve's got a lot of work involved when he has to get into that, and I understand that. So,
I thought that, because I didn't have any idea at all what a simple re-roof involved.
and if everybody paid for a roofing permit 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 15, 30 years ago, now you're paying for another one, and you're maintaining your, and that's what we want people to do, is to maintain their properties and take care of them. So, I mean, that's just my feeling on it, and that's why I got the number of signatures that I had.
Yes, 30 signatures on
And
the
60.
fire inspections and 69
Yeah.
on the roof.
Yeah. So. But,
Charlie's got a motion on the table.
Yes.
That's second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I don't oppose it.
Okay,
You got a vote?
all right.
okay, I do have some other questions, if I might. Couple things. The last meeting, you spoke a little bit about the biodigester.
Hmm?
And
Digester?
And, and, are there gonna be any kind of presentations or to get the public to understand what it is? And I'm not against it by any means, but I'd like to know a little bit more about it. If we're gonna invest $6.5 million in a project, some of the numbers, and if, you know, how many other sewer plants have one?
Not in our area, I mean, the,
Not in this area, no.
huh?
Not in this area.
Not in this area.
Cortland,
Is
Cortland has one, yeah.
Portland has one?
Cortland has one, Binghamton has one. Bill can speak about it, but,
Generally, it's larger communities that have them because it takes a substantial amount of organic content within the waste that's coming to the sewer plant to make it, make enough gas, to make it worthwhile to spend money to put in tanks and pumps and stuff like that. So generally, it's bigger cities that have more flow coming because we have craft that sends waste to our treatment plant that's a source of organics. That can fuel the digester, and then there's other neighboring businesses and sources of waste that can be used in this process to make more gas, make more energy, and offset stuff we have to buy from utility providers.
Will they be able to generate enough of that product to generate enough gas to heat Walton Central School to run
Oh, yeah, I mean,
15?
Oh, yeah.
the problem
Oh,
is gonna
yeah.
be finding
More.
enough people to buy the gas that we produce.
Yeah, we're gonna have more than enough.
Seriously.
Matter of fact, we're talking about going down
All
the
right,
craft too, I mean, it's
okay,
way.
Those are just some questions.
Yeah, yeah.
The company that, I know no bids have gone out or anything yet, I don't know how many companies manufacture these, and whether they, if they built one before, if they have parts and service, what kind of warranty, that, you know, goes along with it. I guess, you know, the general public, I don't think really knows anything about this. I think it's great if it.
But we've been talking about this meeting after meeting and have been talking about it. I mean, we can have an open for the public to know, that's not a problem.
Maybe
A presentation of some sort to let people know what
We-
it looks like, what it's
You
made
know,
of.
maybe it makes
Huh?
sense to
When
have,
we get closer.
Yeah, we can, yeah, as we get closer, we can do that.
Okay.
And just so you know, I mean, again, let's clarify, there's not gonna be any of your tax money that's going into this. This is going to be, not a penny of tax rate, not a penny of the tax money is going into this.
So the
This-
grants will be approved.
It's got, we're gonna get,
Before we do it.
what, it just, we're gonna get some grant money, we're applying from, NYSERDA, what's that, Shared Services Grant from the Governor's Office, IDA, and the rest of the money will be coming in from the dairy plants that are giving us the way. Because they pay for hauling now, as it is, a lot of them been going up to Utica.
this
And-
plant will more than, this change in process will more than pay for it if we weren't getting grants.
Yeah, we could do it even without the
we'd be doing
grants, we'd
this.
have enough money to do it.
Yeah,
Good,
we,
good, that's.
Yeah, and it's not, like I said, it's not gonna be a penny out of the, not a penny increase in taxes or
I just
anything.
had a few
Maybe
people ask me, well, what does it do? What is it? How does it work?
Yeah, well,
What is this?
we'll
What
set
is that?
something up that
Okay.
everybody can come in and we'll
Maybe at some point,
explain
A
it
little
to you.
education for
And
the
it'll
Yeah.
general
spell out
public.
what
Jim-
you're asking for is
maybe
how much the
Jim
money,
could come to a meeting.
Yeah, we'll have Jim's, you know, come
what's the
over,
initial cost, how much do we get?
go Dave,
income?
come down and explain it. Yeah, that's
And
not a problem
and
at
Keith,
all.
we would, maybe, it's a good point, though, what you're bringing up, and we'd let people know, I don't, not just have this engineer show up at a meeting and explain it, but let, whether it's the paper or the, you know, let people know ahead of time, this is the meeting, it will be explained at, you know, ahead of time, so people that are interested can either come and get the answers or watch the video or whatever. It's a good point.
Okay.
Just something a little, give, general public, give them a little education on
I
what
think
the
it sounded
$6.5 million is going for and the potential, I mean, the return on it's great.
Yeah.
I think it sounded and has been so good to us, and literally, every time we've been in a meeting with any party in this, the engineers, whatever, it just gets better and better and better. Lucrative, easier to do, more promising, I mean, and it's a no-brainer, and I think maybe we haven't kept people up to speed with us, but still, it's not a lot of.
When the time comes.
Yeah, to get an idea with
Good
Kraft,
Education.
Kraft, as you know, has 160 jobs over there. There, we were told by the Kraft manager that within the next year, they're gonna have to do an upgrade over there. Probably about $8 to $10 million in upgrade. So, when they go into things like that, you know, it's depending on what's the feasibility of doing it and everything. With this digester, what's going on, when we talked to Tim, who's the manager, Tim Reagan, who's the manager over there, he asked us about whether we could he could get equipment that could be gas operated from the plant, from our digester, and we said yes. And he can save quite a lot of money. Kraft also spends probably close to $500,000 a year taking their whey, which is the result, the after result from the dairy company, and they've been taking it out and hauling it someplace else. They lost that place where they got it. They're not available anymore. We are gonna take it now. We're probably gonna cut that whey cost in half, easy in half. So from 600,000 to maybe 250, 300,000. So they're gonna save that, plus the money they're gonna get, and they can buy this new equipment that we're gonna give them the gas on, because we're gonna run the line to Kraft also. We give them more incentive to do the upgrades and to stay here in Walton. Kraft is also trying to get a new line of cottage cheese and fruit mixture that they do on the West Coast, but it's bigger sell here in the East Coast. They're trying to get that here. This will also help them do their bid to try and get that to come here too. So this digester, it's big for everybody.
And it's the kind, every time we meet with somebody, there's another aspect to this that just got better and better. I mean, it's unbelievable. And if there were no grant, I mean, it's gonna pay for itself, and it's actually gonna generate so much of what goes on all of what goes on at the wastewater treatment plant, whether it's a savings or a revenue generator, has to, by regulation, stay at the wastewater treatment plant. Because of the specifics of this biodigester, the gas we sell, the electricity we save, general fund issues, it'll come over to here and it doesn't have to stay at the wastewater treatment plant. First time ever, and we're not talking about nickels and dimes, we're talking about some significant dollars to the general revenue. We're talking about tax, either we're gonna have more money to do things, or at the very least, we're not gonna need to generate the revenue via taxes, because we're gonna have that much more coming in from the sale of the gas.
Then any update on the plant, yogurt plant, or anything over by Renvest?
They were, the business said.
This might be a thing that would.
Yes.
Interest them.
As well.
In addition.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a.
They were quiet for a while, they've picked up a little bit, so we're scheduling a meeting to go down and see with them, to see what they can do. And we may have another place that is looking to expand with a digester and everything being here, we might be able to talk them into coming in too, so. We have a couple options.
The digester, the product, the waste product coming in that we would deal with is, we've got a lot to deal with just from the places that know of this going on. Once it's established and word gets out, the more we bring in, the more profit it's gonna generate, because we're producing more product, more gas. So it's only gonna get better as time goes by, even after the plant gets established.
And it's not even hiring anybody, we don't have to hire anybody new at the plant or anything, the people there can handle it. It's pretty much self on its own though, it just has to be monitored a little bit. Okay. We'll talk more on the other thing, Keith, too, on the insurance thing. Let me look into it more. Okay, trustee reports, we'll start with you. Tink, how about you? We'll start with you.
I don't
Anything?
have anything. I would like to commend Matthew, though, for what he's been doing, as you did before,
Yeah,
in Roger's absence.
yeah. Okay, Dave?
I don't know if I brought this up at the last meeting, but the Pride and Walton Committee, and the timing may have been just such that I didn't bring it up at the last meeting, but Molly Oliver, Robert Austin, the Pride and Walton group was successful in they call it a micro grant application, and they're gonna be upgrading, improving, redoing the Welcome to Walton signs at the major entrances to the village, and I drew a blank as to whether I'd gotten into this at all. I can't tell from the timing of the memo if I was able to get into that at the last meeting or not. But they were approved, so that'll be a thing you'll see going on. And then the next meeting was originally scheduled for this Thursday, the 8th at 6:30 right here. Ed and I are gonna be in a meeting in Binghamton in the afternoon, may not be back in time. Is what's happening, so they watch Facebook and whatever, check with Roberta to see if they're either gonna change the location or the date of the Pride and Walton Committee from this Thursday to either another day or another place.
Dave, there is a planning board meeting here this
Yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah,
Okay,
so they can't do it.
but so they wouldn't be able to do it anyway?
No.
After that, I didn't even know about the conflict, okay. And that's it.
Okay. Charlie, anything else?
Yes, I've got a couple things. For the Walton Theater Association, they've put out some cards, kind of some of the coming events that are going to be taking place.
Oh, winter's, I just threw the old one away.
Yep, so these are, again, they have a lot of neat events coming in. What I do have is the committee has been researching re-insulating the fire escape doors and repairing those doors, and also repairing the lobby and storage, the floors in the lobby and storage area. They sought bids from 4 different parties, only one came back with the bid. We've got copies of the bids. The re-insulating the 9 fire escape doors, that'd be, when weather permitting, require moving some or all the doors. You have to look at each one, but he's gonna, bid included labor and materials, basically re-insulating and repairing the doors that need attention. Impact is safety, because it is our emergency escape doors, but also there's gaps, lets a lot of warm air out the door. So that's one. The other is the lobby storage, in storage area. When health inspectors came a while back, one of the things that the theater was written up on was unfinished floor in one of the food areas. The bid would be putting linoleum down on that floor area to finish it off. Also would include some of the tiles are coming up, are loose in the entryway. The regrouting, taking up the existing grouting, regrouting those and securing those. Replacing a threshold on the entry door that has been, it's now ajar, and also fastening, old theater, it's got granite mop boards, but they're just leaning up against it, securing those. So I like to propose this as 2 separate motions. First motion would be, and this is from the money that we had budgeted towards the theater repair. And I know there's a lot of work that needs to be done. We've been talking earlier about the heating system. So I will move that we accept the Gransberry bid for re-insulating the fire escape doors as described in his bid. The cost of that was $2,700. So I would move that we approve the amount not to exceed $2,700 for the reinsulating of the fire exit doors. on the-
You're making that motion, right?
I'm making that
All right,
motion.
so we need a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
The second motion I'd like to make is repairing the lobby floor in the storage area. The bid was for $1,200, and I would move that we approve the accepting of that bid not to exceed $1,200 for the repair of the lobby, the floors in the theater.
And that includes the granite, right?
That's, yes, that's including the granite mop boards, the tiles, the floor and the stairs in the storage area, and the threshold entry.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And that's all I have.
Okay, mayor's report. I was gonna talk about the digester, but Keith already brought it up, so thank you. That's good, no, it's good, it's good. We will get, it's important that we, as we get closer, we'll get somebody down here, we'll announce it so everybody can come down and see what's going on. But the good thing, just to let everybody know, that there's no taxes going into this, this is something that's gonna take care of itself.
Just the idea of the digester, I understand what he's saying,
Yeah,
so the public knows what the heck
yeah, no, you're right, you're
is
100% right.
involved.
Yeah. It's just, that, you know, it's a big number, and even though it
Yep.
isn't a cost initially
Yeah.
for the construction of it, and whatever.
Yeah, no, you're right,
What
I
are we
understand.
building for $6.5 million?
Well, it sounds like it's one of those classic too good to be true things, and I think if I wasn't on the committee, there'd be a real credibility issue for me, but having been through probably
No,
15 meetings,
that's-
yeah.
Right.
I'm on that side of the fence, and you're on the other
Sure.
side, so
Yeah.
you know that, so, and I don't, and neither do a lot of
Well,
other
I'm
people,
glad you
so-
brought it up.
Yeah.
Jim Swaza was the engineer that's sort of been spearheading the thing, and he can,
You mentioned Binghamton, Cortland has one of these.
Yeah.
Have you been in touch with them? Have you
I've been
talked
down,
to them?
yeah, I've been down to see
Have you
him.
got some
We're
numbers?
actually doing
work at
The
Cortland.
amounts, the numbers,
Yeah.
how much is produced, how much is available, what, okay.
We're actually in a lucky area, Keith, because we have two other local industries that, like Ed was saying, that have nowhere to take their waste right now. And it's, we're in a lucky location, basically.
I've gone down and looked at them and saw how they did it, spoke to the operator who did it, and it's really quite amazing.
in all
But we'll go
serious-
into more of it.
In all
Okay.
seriousness, the profitability, if anything, has been played down conservative, not to make it seem too good to be true, seriously.
Good.
You know.
All right, the only other thing I want to talk about, just real quick, is we just got back our audit. We had our audit for the village. As you're probably aware of, I mean, 2 years ago, when we first came back, our audit was so bad that we had the comptroller's office told us the worst audit they had in the history of New York. 2 years ago, we had about 12 pages like this of errors. Last year, we cut it down to about, I guess, 4.5, 5 pages. This report had 4 items. 3 of them were computer software issues. 1 issue on something that was already taken care of in the capital fund. So it is by far the best audit I've ever seen since we've been here. So I have to commend Jody and Misty, they've
Yes.
done an excellent job. And we're back. About 1.5 years, but we're back. And we're in good standing with the banks, we're in good standing with all our credit people. Everything's up to snuff, so I think we should be very proud that we've accomplished quite a lot.
And I don't know if the general public really realizes how far back we've come. I mean, it was not good.
So,
I mean,
but it's past, it's all well, let's move on with the future, so, but we're good. All right,
Well, I was here and you've come a long way.
thank you.
It's on video.
Okay. It's on the video, it doesn't matter. Okay, we'll go to number 6.
Do a motion to accept the audit.
Oh, yeah, can we do accept the audit?
I think that's easy to do, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Yeah, that's one of the happiest things we can do. Number 6 is CBDG, public hearing.
There's some grant funds available for first-time homebuyers and rehabilitation. So, Dollar Opportunities is asking us to hold a public hearing at our next board meeting so that they can get public input on these programs before it's a requirement before they can ask for the grant. So I need a motion to set a public hearing for February 2nd.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
And that would be the very first, like the first item, Jody?
Yes,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay, number 7, polling place hours, 2:15 election.
We have to set the place and time for the next election, and that will be Wednesday, March 18th, here at the Village Hall from 9 to noon, or from noon
To
to 9
9.
PM. So, and I need a motion for you guys to
Motion.
set that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the reason why we're doing it on Wednesday this year is because St. Patty's Day is on the Tuesday, so that's why we're doing it the extra day. Number 8, wastewater treatment plant CD renewal.
We have our CD of $429,000 coming up for renewal. The Delhi Bank was 0.36% and the Walton Bank is 0.50%. So I recommend we go with the Walton and BDC Bank for another 6 months.
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And number 9, the village court audit.
Misty reviewed the books for the court that we're required to do each year. She took a look at those and submitted a memo to you guys. The books look fine with her, and so we're recommending that you guys accept our audit.
Make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. That's it, right?
Yep, I'm done.
That's it. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening. Stay warm.